I was telling our staff this morning, I get here early on Sunday and take time. Actually, the chair you're sitting in, I walked by, about 6:15, 6:30 this morning. Literally the chair you're sitting in, unless you're at home right now, because that would be really creepy if I walked by your chair this morning at 6:30. And I was just praying. I'm just praying. And praying for people to get connected. And I know there's some that maybe even chose not to show today, although looking by the number of empty seats, not many people chose that. They're here today. But I want to see you have a future where you're connected to the body. That's the pastor as the shepherd. So much so that this is, I believe, the first time in my entire 57 years I'm actually wearing cowboy boots. Yes, I had a pair of blue suede boots as a punk rocker, but they weren't for the purpose of trying to be cowboy. That's for anything, for sure. So as you think about, I think about my past, as you think about your past, there's some things in your past that you like, you love, they're good memories. There's some things in your past that you don't like, that you wish would not have happened. That's everyone, no matter how old you are, whether you're 18 or 88. And we got today as our present, but I can tell you this, something that's true about everyone in the room, whether you're 18 or 88, is your past will be present in your future. And today, you have the opportunity, because today is a day. Today is September, 8? September 8, 2024, and at some day in your life, whether you're 18 or 88, today was way in the future. It's way out there in the future. And then now it's the present. And whatever your present looks like, good, bad, indifferent, and I'm getting the notice that I forgot to tell everyone, let's pass the buckets. Please, I want to keep my job. It's time to take offering. The Fit team, come on, toss the connection cards in as you're coming by. Those connection cards that Mr. Ed told you to fill out. If you can pass those along, but I want to keep my message going there. Totally lost my caboose of thought. Imagine that. Past is present, yeah, got that. The decisions you're making today, where you are today, here we go. Where you are today is based a lot on what happened, the decisions you made in the past, right? So if today is a day that you can make decisions, you're going to impact your future today. You're going to impact your future today. And that's what I want to see happen. So here's the question to start with. What do you want your future story to sound like? What do you want your future story to look like? If I asked you to tell me the story of your last 10 years, you could tell me the story. What do you want the future story for the next 5 or 10 years to look like? And you have an opportunity today to impact your future story. Now, I thought about this when I was praying this morning, literally right here. You have an opportunity today to impact your future story today, and if you take it, you will impact your future story. And if you don't take it, you will still impact your future story. Whether you take advantage of the opportunity or you don't take advantage of the opportunity. So the opportunity today is to choose who's going to be some supporting roles in your life. Right now, you're sitting in rows. Rows are good. Circles are better. You're sitting shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder isn't bad. It's a good thing. Face to face is better. Choosing people you're going to do life with is the opportunity that we'll have today, whether it's a life group or a grow group. Now, I've been following Jesus since '85. That's back when color TV was invented. And I've never heard this statement. All by myself, with no help from anyone, I discovered God. I started following him, and I live an overcoming, victorious life of faith, all by myself with no one else's input or influence. I've never heard any story like that. God uses human relationships to impact our faith in him. Okay, watch this. He uses human relationships to impact our faith in him. We think it's only vertical. It's not at all. If it was only vertical, Jesus did a poor job. If it's only vertical, Jesus didn't model it very well. Because most of what we see Jesus doing isn't vertical. A lot of it was the horizontal. If anyone didn't need a small group to obey God the Father, it was Jesus. And how frustrating was his small group to him? Multiple times. Just about no growth has ever happened in my life without the impact of others. I got saved because of somebody else. Baptized in the Holy Spirit, other people lead me. Responding to God's call. Becoming a youth pastor. Getting married. Staying married. How many of you know it's one thing to get married, it's another thing to stay married and stay out of jail, right? The parenting, lead pastoring. Looking back, providential relationships are one of the primary influencers in somebody's faith. You hear someone's story. I met someone, it was a guy, a girl, I had a boss, I had a coach, it was a coworker that I met, a professor, a relative, and they said something, or I watched how they live, or what they prioritized, and everyone's got a story like that. Mine involves this guy, Ron Sandoval. Picture on the left is the older picture, in case you couldn't tell. I've shared my story in detail before, but he was on a soccer team that I was pretending to help coach. He invited me to church. I got saved. He's still in my life. He's actually going to be on site probably this next week, putting in some more video cameras here at the church. As a church, we cannot create providential relationships for you. We can't. Nobody can. But what we're doing today is creating an opportunity for them. That's all we can do. And I can tell you right now, it takes a whole lot more work as your staff to do a day like today than it does to do Easter 3 weeks in a row. Easter's easy. Easter's just doing church again and just making sure it's really good. We could do that. Your staff right now could do that at 3 o'clock today with no notice. It's just doing another service. It's a whole lot more effort if we're trying to go ahead and create an opportunity that providential relationships might happen, because circles are better than rows. We are better together. If we get someone connected vertically but they don't get connected horizontally, where will they be vertically in 6 months or 5 years? That's the idea. So when we talk about life group or grow group, I'll give the quick condensed version. It's a group that meets either weekly or bi-weekly. The idea is show up, join in, be real. It's not complicated. Show up, join in, be real. Sometimes, not always, there's a commonality. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's a gender. Maybe it's season of life. How long do they last? Some of the groups last 1 to 2 years. That's the average life cycle of a group is about 2 years. Some have lasted 3.5, 4 years, and they're still going. My challenge to you as your shepherd, give it 6 weeks. Take the gamble, take the risk, connect with other people for about 6 weeks. The grow group, which I'm leading one, Sarah's leading one, and Kelly Melkins is leading one, that's a different kind of scenario. It's shorter, 8 to 12 weeks, and it has a stopping point, and it's very, very topical, and you can see that in the brochure that you got there. So, question for you. Do you want to help determine someone else's future? Do you have an inner control freak that you'd like to control someone's future? We all do, right? I think we do. Maybe it's just me. Let me tell you how you can control someone's future. Become their friend. Because friends will determine the quality and direction of somebody's life. Yeah. If you wanted to take somebody down, would you show up with a pitchfork and anger? Not at all. That'd be a bad movie. That wouldn't even be a good movie. The movie would know that, oh, come on in and befriend them before they take them down. Friendship is marvelous, powerful, and dangerous. And every parent, if you're a teenager in the room, your parents are paranoid about who you hang out with. I know. You know why your parents are paranoid with who you hang out with? Because they look back to when they were a teen, and they realize their parents should have been more paranoid about who they were hanging out with. Mom, Dad, don't you trust me? The correct answer is no, they do not trust you. They don't. And if you were really wise, you wouldn't trust yourself. I don't. I want accountability. I want people around me. Left to myself, I'm not going to make good decisions. 1 Corinthians 15:33 is really clear and simple. Don't be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Apparently it was written because some people were being misled, right? The application is pretty simple. Bad relationships will tear your faith apart and tear your character apart, and good relationships maybe can help. So as we follow along in the notes this morning, I hope that you will. There's not a lot to write down, but I think it's worthwhile. Wisdom is grown, not given. It's grown. And if wisdom is grown, we should be aware of it. We should actively strategize with it and use it to our advantage. So the verse I'm going to share from today is one that I've shared before. And amazingly, it was actually the YouVersion Bible app verse of the day yesterday. And last Sunday, the version of the YouVersion Bible app verse of the day was the same verse I was using. So I'm really glad Life Church is sticking up with me and staying with me and looking at my notes. But the verse is, he who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. I buried that one deep in the heart a long time ago. He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. If wisdom is grown, leverage it. Use it to our advantage. If wisdom is grown, if you walk with people who are heading in the direction you want to go, you will naturally become like the people you're closest to, whether you want to be or not. Your future will be impacted by the people you hang out with. I've saw it happen so many times. I've never done an actual count. It's easily 25 life groups I've helped launch or start, if not more. I looked at something we had back in the church in Southeast Kansas, one of our Connect Sundays, which is an idea we brought with us when we came here. One Sunday, we had rented out the indoor football stadium, and we put a map on where all the life groups were going to be, and there was over 30 groups in a church of about 500. We actually have, is it 17, babe? 14? 18? 18 groups. If they all launch and move forward, 18 groups. So I'm going to share one personal story. This is a men's group. It morphed a little bit over time. Started in somebody's house. Actually, it started in my office, too. That was my office. We literally met in this tiny office. We met during COVID. They were meeting, so I zoomed in one time. We went through axes at the wall, not at each other. This group of men ate together. They played disc golf together. They just started hanging out with each other. And they had one of the most rarest things in all of American culture: a male with friends. How many of you men have too many friends? How many of you ladies wish the men in your life had at least 2 good friends? Can I see your hand? Yeah. They need them. Well, I can tell my husband what to do. You can. And he goes in one ear and... But what if he had 2 friends telling him? I don't need anybody else, Pastor. I got my family. When you need to be told what to do, you will ignore your family. Speaking for a friend. So there was a day I needed this group, this men's group. We were living here, and we did the reverse empty nest thing. Our son didn't move out on us. We moved out on him. Thought it was going just fine. Learned that he was going through a really hard time, didn't realize it. And he had bought a house and needed to move and just couldn't get the dark clouds away to start moving. So it was this group that I called. And while I'm over here, they showed up with truck and trailers and moved my son. Because he just couldn't get it going on his own because of everything else he had going on, finishing college, running his business. I needed people. Not just God. I need God. But God didn't design us to operate solely off of Him, or there wouldn't be something called the local church. Yeah. So they moved my son because I couldn't. Who's someone you consider to be wise? And who do they surround themselves with? Wisdom is grown. It's not a drive-through where you're going to get your food immediately. It's the drive-through where it says, can you please pull forward, we'll bring your food out to you. And 6 months later, they do. And that's what it will feel like if you join a life group or a grow group. You will show up the first couple times and go, I don't even know this was worth it. You're planting seed in ground. Give it some time. I've told every men's group that I launch, man, you're going to come some Wednesday night and go, this was a waste of time. I should have stayed home and mowed the grass or cleaned the garage, and you would have been right. But if you'll keep coming, if you'll show up, join in, and be real, you'll have something in 3 months that you can't buy. You'll have connections. And you'll have people that can prod you, pray for you, and actually know and care about you because you put down fruits and water. He who walks with the wise grows wise. You don't need a degree to be wise. But the negative side of this verse is there too. It's a warning. A companion of fools suffers harm. Now, if you hang out with wise people, you will become wise. But if you hang out with foolish people, it doesn't say you'll become a fool. It doesn't. You can hang out with fools all day, every day, for the rest of your life, and never do what a fool does and never think like a fool thinks. But you'll still suffer harm for it. You'll still suffer harm for it. But I didn't do anything wrong. You're right. You're right. You didn't do anything right over here hanging out with wise people, but you got wise by hanging out with wise people. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Change the room. Seriously. I purposely try and hang out with people way down the road farther than I've ever could possibly even get. But if you're hanging out with fools, you may never be a fool. You may feel good to be the smartest person in the room, but you will suffer harm for it because it's not based on your decisions whether you suffer harm. It's based on your distance to fools. You'll catch the pain of their decisions. If wisdom is grown and not given, the consequences of foolishness are caught. You may never see the world the way a fool does or behave the way a fool does, but the shrapnel of the explosion of their life will impact you. A companion of fools suffers harm. The passenger of the drunk driver knows this. The wife of the jailed husband suffers because of this. The friend of the felon who ended up doing time as an accomplice knows this. If you surround yourself with fools, don't be surprised if your life becomes a clown show. Well, Pastor, what's a fool? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Homer Simpson probably qualifies. Patrick of SpongeBob probably qualifies. But let's get a working definition. It's a person who knows the difference between right and wrong but doesn't care. Hey, this is wrong. It's going to destroy your marriage. Yeah, don't care. You can't afford that. Yeah, I don't care. You're killing yourself by doing that. Don't care. If your friends are fools and they don't care about their life, they're not going to be concerned about yours. If they don't care about their marriage and relationships, they won't be concerned about yours. My hope and prayer is not here, not now, not us. We will be people who know that the relationships we have horizontally are a huge factor of our faith future. And we are people who will accept and recognize that we are still acceptance magnets. We are still affirmation magnets. We are still people who desire the approval of others no matter how spiritual we get. And when we do things in common with other people, we start to drop our guard in bad ways and good ways. When you were one junior hire walking down the hallway, you walked a certain way. But if you're walking with 6 of your buddies, you walked like you owned the place. It's still true. When you were one 16-year-old driving a car, you drove it one way. When you had 5 of your friends in the car, your parents prayed, even if they weren't believers. If you're leaving the Buckeyes game, if you're leaving the Buckeyes game with a friend or your spouse, you leave one way. But if you're leaving with 8 coworkers and most of them have had too much to drink, when you do things in common, we tend to drop our guard. I heard it said, teenagers, show me your friends, 5 closest friends, I'll show you your future. It's not hard to do. So let's take it a little bit farther. If you're in your 20s and you hang out with people who live without regard for the future, it's not hard to tell you your future. If you're in your 30s and you hang out with people that are on the moral edge, it's not hard to tell you what your future is going to look like. If you're in your 40s and you're hanging out with people that are still seeking success and self-fulfillment instead of significance. If you're in your 50s and you're hanging out with people that have spent years neglecting the most important relationships, just being with people headed anywhere will get you moving in that direction. It's not in the notes, but maybe the most important thing I say, we start to do what they approve. And we stop doing what they disapprove of. I'm going to say that again. Whoever we're hanging out with, we tend to start to do whatever they approve of. And we stop doing whatever they disapprove of. That's just human sociology. If they flirt when their spouse isn't looking, they will like it when you do as well. If they are growing spiritually, they will like it when you grow spiritually as well. And we like to be liked. That's not bad. That's not sin. It can lead us that way. But the whole idea that we like to be liked is not bad or sin. If we're approval magnets, let's leverage it. Let's leverage it. So imagine this. What if I was circled by people who approve of what I want to become? Especially if you're under 30. Get that in deep. What if I was surrounded by, circled by, people that are leaving right now disagree with how I preach and they don't like me? Actually, that's the life group leaders getting ready for another part of service. What if I was encircled and surrounded by people who approve of what I want to become? Now, obviously, this means that you open your heart before God and go, God, I want you to work in my life. Flip it. Flip it. What if I was circled by people who approve of what I never want to become? I don't need a crystal ball to tell you your future there. Nobody does. You have the opportunity to act on this today. Who do you want to be? Bees make hives, beavers make dams, humans make futures. You get to create one. You're living in one right now. Today used to be your future. So what do you want to be? Much of it will be determined by who you choose to allow close to you, who will be your inner circle. If you're a teen, are you looking for people that will navigate bridges and detours that are trying to get you derailed from your faith? If you're a young adult or in your 20s and you're trying to launch your career and maybe start a family without losing your faith or losing your foundation, hang out with people that approve of that. If you're in your 30s and you're trying to avoid the implosions that you've seen destroy other people's lives, hang out with people that are headed the same direction. If you're in your 40s and you're trying to raise kids that don't hate you and don't hate God, hang out with people that are trying to move you the same direction. If you're in your 50s and 60s and you're trying to figure out, how do I quit chasing success and start chasing significance? How do I lead, love, and still dream at this age in my life? I heard it said a number of years ago, you teach what you know, you reproduce what you are. I don't like that, but I think it's true. I wish I could reproduce what I know, because I know a whole lot more than I live. That may be everybody. But one thing we modeled for our son was the importance of having other people in our life, in our home, on a regular basis. Not just because his mom liked doing the life group thing. So every time we launched a new group, usually every fall, we'd be the surrogate parents for a brand new life group. Probably for the last 15 years, at least 15 years, if not longer. And so when we moved here, Sarah and I, and we only have the one son and we left him there, what am I most concerned about? Come on, he's a 20-year-old male living by himself. What am I concerned about? He's going to lock himself in his room, do nothing but play video games and computer all day, and just go down a deep, dark hole. But he couldn't because he was in too many life groups. He had friends. He had friends. And he went to group when he felt like going to group, and he didn't go to group. And he went to group when he didn't feel like going to group. So that's him over there. And where is he in this other one over here? Yeah, that's him right there. There's a few of these he's not in because his wife-to-be was in them because she was already in a group. And this one, they're really close together. And this one, they're really close together. Yeah, totally directed his life. You teach what you know. You reproduce what you are. Pastor, I hear you, I get it, but all I need is Jesus, a good pair of jeans, and a lot of caffeine. Pardon me. Who will you become if you only surround yourself with yourself? Yeah, but a lot of people around me are jerks and fools. My last 5 bosses have been jerks and fools. Common denominator seems to be you, but that's okay. If you only surround yourself with yourself, you'll never learn teamwork. You'll never learn humility. You'll never learn cooperation. You'll never learn friendship. And you'll never learn love. If you lock yourself up and lock your heart up to protect it, will your heart be safe? I don't like to read lengthy quotes. I do it rarely. This one's a little lengthy. I want to ask you to follow along, and you can decide whether you agree or disagree. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything in your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken. Is that true? Yeah. If you want to make sure of keeping your heart intact, give it to no one, not even an animal. Can I please see the hands of everyone whose heart has been broken by an animal before because it got died, run over, or lost? Yeah. Well, if you want to protect your heart, don't even give your heart to an animal. So far, he's accurate. Wrap your heart carefully around with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your own selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, and motionless and airless, your heart will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, and irredeemable. The only place outside of heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all the dangers of hell, all the dangers of love, is hell. Friends, your friends will determine the quality and direction of your life. And he who walks with the wise grows wise. Find some other people that are walking in the direction that you want to go. That's the opportunity we have today. My life is better. My life is richer. One of the things I pray for myself constantly is, Lord, you've taken me farther, higher, and deeper than I ever thought I'd ever be able to go, and I think you're going to continue to do so. It's not because I'm all that in a bag of chips. I just chose to surround myself with people who are better than me. As much as I can, as often as I can, no matter what it costs me, as long as I can afford to be in the room, I want to be in the room. If I can afford the time, if I can afford whatever it's going to take to drive to that room, the room that I go to right now, some of you know, heard of a Christian Life Center in Dayton, a massive church right on the highway there. It's a 4-hour round trip for me, but I get to be surrounded by other pastors that are in similar situations than me and be poured into by the pastor of that church of about 3,000. It doesn't matter what it costs me. It doesn't matter what's on the calendar that day. If they're having that gathering, I'm at that gathering. And it's a 4-hour round trip. I'm going to be there because I need that kind of level of excellence in my life. And I've got to find those people. And sometimes it's expensive. Sometimes you just got to pay better intake, it's me better outflow. The things that have happened in my life would not have happened had I stayed in a row. But I took the risk and got in a circle. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. And that's what today is. We cannot create providential relationships for you. I can't guarantee you that you might meet your future spouse in the group you're going to join and sign up for today. Some of you are going, that's good, Pastor. I don't want that guaranteed right now. Some of you are going, oh, nuts. That's exactly what I was hoping for. We can't create it. Sir, you can just come straight up if you want. But God uses relationships to grow our faith. Can't change your past. But you can make different changes for your present right now that will craft, cultivate, and create your future. I want to challenge you not to miss the next season of our church, but more importantly, I want to challenge you to not miss the next season of you. Of you. Let me pray over you real quick. Father, in the name of Christ, I thank you for your word. I thank you for your grace, your kindness. I thank you, Jesus, that you modeled life with other people, and your word makes it plain and clear. It wasn't necessarily always easy or always smooth, but apparently you couldn't fulfill what the Father wanted you to do without other people in your life. And would you guide and direct and nudge us on directions you may want us to go for this next season? For people who've already made the decision what group they're joining, speak to them. Affirm their decision or guide them differently. For people who've already made a decision, there's no way I'm doing that. I trust you to nudge, Lord. Don't want to lay any kind of guilt trip through any kind of prayer. You do what you want to do in their heart, Lord. May we be open to you in Christ's name. Everybody says amen? Amen. For those of you who don't know, my wife Sarah is the Tyler Connections pastor. And Wyatt Earp Cowgirl, too. Yeah.
Well, may I just say it's a little easier to find Western wear in Kansas than it is in Ohio.
Give us a little bit of your heart.
Yeah.
I've asked her to share a little bit of her heart about groups for a couple moments, and then we'll keep moving.
For a quick moment, I want to say a few thank yous. First of all, if you served on the board in 2018, 2019, and you approved of a Connections pastor, thank you. It is truly my pleasure to serve in this capacity. Second, I want to thank the transformation team. Literally covered wagons and sawhorses and my watering hole and such. I go to Wendell and say, this is my dream. And he goes, I can do it. So thank you, gentlemen. Also to the events team that showed up yesterday to help pull the final details together. Those who are participating in the chili cook-off, a huge thank you to you. And as well as my group leaders, they really are the MVPs of this. They are the ones that are creating the circles that you can be a part of, and we couldn't do it without them. But I was thinking about why join a life group or a grow group. And sticking with the whole Western Frontier theme, you are able to mine gold when you are in a group. You get to mine the nuggets of truth. You get to mine the nuggets of community through accountability. Mm-hmm. You can have community without accountability, but this allows you both. And you mine the nuggets of purpose because people in a life group are nudging you to fulfill the purpose that God has placed in you. I highly encourage you. Get in a life group or get in a grow group. Again, a grow group is kind of like a life group light. Mm-hmm. You're joining for a very short time. It's not going to be quite as relationally based as the life groups are, but you are going to study the Word of God together. You're going to discuss it, and you are going to have some action points that they can hold you accountable to.
Amen.
Honestly, come down to the gym afterwards and become part of a group.
All right. Can we thank Sarah for all the work she's done getting today ready? Amen. So at this time, I want to turn the stage over to Pastor Ryan. I can't remember what his video name was. I know it was Cholera Caleb. I don't remember what Ryan's was.
I don't remember either, Pastor.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if you'll go ahead and let us see who these life group leaders are, I sure will
All
appreciate
right,
it.
so we're going to do our life group leaders here, folk. And can I get a howdy one more time? 1, 2, 3. Howdy. Yeehaw. Right, we're doing it. All right, first I'm going to ask Karen Atkins to come on down to the Price is Right. Come on, Karen. Get on out here, Karen. Come on. She's leading the life group Mature Women. Just go ahead right down to the stage here on Wednesday nights at 6:30. Anybody could come. You could sign up later on down today. Our next one is Judy Lawson. Can we give it up for Judy? She's doing a heart-to-heart women's group also on Wednesday. Wow, look at that giddy up. I tell you what. Mail order bride. All right, Bill. Come on, Bill. You got it over there. Our next is our men's group. Stronger Men's with Kevin Atkins and Jeff Robertson. Come on, Stronger Men. Come on, Stronger Men. Let's see those guns as you come, right? Wednesday nights, men's group. Come and hang out with other men, as Pastor Mark just shared that. We have a new one starting, New Through 2, parents of New Through 2 with Mike and Brenda Stentz. For those parents out there with babies, toddlers, you need to be around people like you. And this really touches my heart. Parents of Teens with AJ and Jen Boughton. Give it up for them. Wow. Well, okay, I like that. That was good. Where's your cowgirl hat? I mean, cowboy hat, like mine, you know. Oh, come on. And we have a mixed adults on Wednesday night with Sheila Eaton and Kayla Trail coming on down. Yeah. How many years is this you're doing this group? This year 4? 3, 4? Doing this group? That's fantastic. We have a new group for if you've been touched by addiction with Ashley Warren on Wednesday nights here. Give it up for Ashley. That's amazing. And I used to do young adults here, but I've handed that on to Grayson Mounts on Monday nights starting the 16th of September here at the church at 7 o'clock. Liv Rayburn, Virginia Porter, Mom and Me for moms. Here comes Virginia. And those are Thursday nights here at 6 o'clock here at the church. It is kid-friendly. Just bring them kids, let them round crazy, and then let Mike and Brenda direct the parents there. You know what I'm saying? We have a Widows Life group, and that was started by Pastor Mark a couple years ago, and Sherry Glasgow now does that. Can we give it up for Sherry? There she is. There's Sherry. They meet on the 2nd and 4th Fridays. That's a different day now, huh? Fridays, is that right? at 10:30 here at the church. And then we have 3 grow groups. They're not life groups, they're grow groups, as Pastor Sarah said. Our first one is by Kelly and Michelle Meckes. They're going to do the power of seeds on reaping and sowing. And so you can join their group. Kelly's going to take an offering now. It's going to be fantastic. I'm just kidding. That's an inside joke I have with that guy. And then we have Pastor Sarah becoming unoffendable here on Wednesday nights at 6:30. And then, can I get a drum roll, please? Drum roll, please, for our pastor, Pastor Mark Lehman, with Confronting Christianity here on Wednesday nights. All right.
This is quite the crew of people that are willing to help pastor and shepherd people, to love them, to care for them, to be ready to serve them when they show up, join in and be real. And they're the ones that help get the depth in the body. Ephesians chapter 4 or 5, right side of my paper Bible, I can't remember, but it talks about how everyone, apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, but there's ligaments in the body that hold things together. It's this level of leadership that holds things together, which is why our foyer sounds like it does and our cafe sounds like it does. It's not because the cappuccino is free. It's because you're not surrounded by strangers because of these groups. They're getting ready to head down because they're going to sample one. They're going to sample the chili first. And 2, they're going to be at their table. So when you head down there, they'll be there. So we're going to dismiss them now. Can we thank them one more time?